Once upon a time, in a peaceful little village surrounded by green fields and tall trees, there lived an old woman named Gauri. People lovingly called her Amma. Her hair was as white as snow, and her skin was wrinkled like soft paper. But her eyes were bright and full of kindness. Everyone in the village loved her because no matter what difficulties life brought, she always kept smiling. Amma lived alone in a small mud house near a huge banyan tree. Her husband had passed away many years ago, and she had no children. Even then, she never complained. Every morning, she swept the front of her house, watered a few plants, and sat under the banyan tree with a small cup of tea. The villagers often stopped to talk to her, and somehow, she always managed to bring peace to their hearts. People left her feeling lighter, calmer, and more hopeful. The villagers were very hardworking. The men worked in the fields from sunrise to sunset, while the women fetched water, cooked food, and took care of their children. But life was not always easy. Some years, there was no rain, and the crops dried up. At other times, people fell sick or lost their jobs. The air in the village was often heavy with worry and sadness. One afternoon, a young woman named Madhavi came to meet Amma. Her eyes were sad, her clothes were dusty, and her hands trembled as she began to speak. "Amma," she said softly, "I do not understand what I should do now. My husband went to the city months ago in search of work, but he has not sent any money. My children cry from hunger, and I do not know how long I can continue like this." Amma, listened quietly. Then she lovingly said, "Sit down, my child. Tell me, what do you think will happen next?" Madhavi wiped her tears and sighed. "I keep thinking that something bad will happen. Maybe my husband could not find work. Maybe he has forgotten us. I cannot stop these thoughts. They scare me all the time." Amma smiled gently and said, "You know, Madhavi, when we fill our minds with negative thoughts, we only hurt ourselves more. But when we fill them with good thoughts, we gain strength. And sometimes, when we stay hopeful, good things somehow find their way to us." Madhavi frowned and asked, "But Amma, when everything around me seems so bad, how can I think positive thoughts?" The old woman gave her a loving. Amma looked at her with loving eyes and said, "Let me tell you a small story. Once, there was a poor man who had lost everything in his life, his family, his money, and his home. One day, he sat beside a river and began to cry. An old woman came there and asked, "My son, why are you crying?" The man said, "Because I have nothing left. When my life is empty, how can I stay happy?" The woman smiled gently and said, "Look around you. You still have the river that sings softly for you. You have the trees that give you shade. You have the sky that gives you light. You have your breath, your hands, and your heart. My son, you are still alive, and that means you still have things to be thankful for." Hearing this, the man looked up for the first time. He felt the gentle breeze, heard the sound of the water, and felt the warmth of the sunlight on his face. His tears stopped, and he smiled. From that day on, he began thanking life for the little things. Slowly, his sadness started to fade away, and his life began to change. Not because everything suddenly became perfect, but because he learned to notice the good things that were already there. Amma paused and looked at Madhavi, saying, "See, my dear child, that man's life did not change because of magic. It changed because his thinking changed." When our thoughts become lighter and more positive, walking through life becomes easier. Madhavi wiped her tears again and asked, "Do you truly believe that thinking good thoughts can change my life?" Amma smiled and said, "Yes, my child. If you wake up every morning and tell yourself that today will be a good day, your heart will gain courage. Whatever comes your way, you will find yourself strong enough to face it. But if you keep thinking about everything that could go wrong, your fear will steal your strength before the day even begins." Madhavi slowly nodded her head. Her face now looked a little calmer. She said, "I will try, Amma. I will try to think positive thoughts." Amma replied, "That is all you need to begin. When you change your thinking, you change your world." From that day onward, Madhavi started doing exactly that. Every morning, she opened her eyes and said, "Today will be a good day." She worked hard, cooked food for her children, and waited for her husband with faith instead of fear. Even when she felt tired, she kept reminding herself of Amma's words. Weeks passed by. Then one morning, when she returned from the market, she received a letter. It was from her husband. He had finally found a job in the city and was sending money home. Madhavi's heart filled with joy, laughing and crying at the same time. She ran straight to Amma's house. "Amma, you were right. He found a job. Things are getting better." Amma smiled, her eyes shining brightly. She said, "See, my dear, when we think positively, we open the door for good things to enter. Life will always test us, but when we face it with hope, we have already won half the battle." The wisdom of Amma spread throughout the entire village. Soon, people from nearby and faraway places started coming to speak with her. Whenever someone complained about their problems, she always said the same thing: "Think good thoughts, and good things will happen." Slowly, the whole village began to change. People smiled more, worked with greater confidence, and helped one another. Even during difficult days, they remembered Amma's words: "If you think lightly, you will live lightly." And in this way, Amma became the heart of the village. Friends, this story teaches us that the situations in life are not always in our control, but our thinking is always in our hands. When we stay positive in every situation, express gratitude for small blessings, and choose faith instead of fear, our entire life slowly begins to change. In the end, always remember that your life becomes the way you think. So always think positively, because positive thinking leads to a better, beautiful life. If you enjoyed this story, then please like it, share it with your friends and family, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspirational stories. Thank you.